Finally, it is Friday, the 23rd day of June 2023. Welcome to Friday. My name is Stanley Iringita. Let us take a look at what is happening. Tonight, DP Rigathi Gachagua admits government has no jobs for the thousands of graduating Kenyans.
I'm an honest man. I don't want to sit here and lie to you that we have jobs for you.
Pegging hopes on the controversial finance bill.
Among those 200,000 houses, from this university, there will be architects.
Also tonight, government says it could take years before Kenyans are rescued from the yoke of unbearable cost of living.
I did say that we must brace ourselves for some hard times. It could take us up to 2.5 years to see the downturn.
Civil societies say leaders have betrayed Kenyans.
Ini taxpayers money hao wase wanatumia. Kwa nini hizo resources zenye wana waste huko wasizilete zifanye more productive things?
Plus, push and pull wedges on the aftermath of the passage of the finance bill.
I want to tell Raila Odinga to stand on his own feet as a leader himself and stop being misused by other people who have completed their term and tenure in leadership.
With the opposition hinting at moving to court on Monday to challenge its legality.
We retain the ultimate right to exercise all the rights in the Constitution. If the people tell us it's mandamano, so shall it be.
Well, welcome to the bulletin. Catherine Simula is on the sign language interpretation. Now tonight, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi is telling you and I to brace for over 2 years of struggle posed by the yoke of the rising cost of living. According to Musalia, there is no other practical way to rescue Kenyans except the long-term plans rolled out by government. This comes as a section of Kenyans say they feel cheated as the government has gone totally against their campaign pledges.
Following the passing of the finance bill, which included an increase in fuel VAT to 16%, youth in Dandora today organized a public participation baraza dubbed Okoa Uchumi Campaign.
Hao wamejitolea watoto kuja hapa kujua shida zile tuko nazo, ndio wameita nyinyi media, na hii media hata kama kuna vita yenu na serikali, mimi sijui kwa nini serikali wapigana na media wakati unakuja kuniona mimi mahali nafinyiwa.
The forum, led by civil society groups, cited betrayal by members of parliament who went ahead to pass the bill despite the oath to abide by their role, which includes representing the interests of their constituents in parliament.
Ini taxpayers money hao wase wanatumia. Kwa nini hizo resources zenye wana waste huko wasizilete zifanye more productive things? Uchumi ndio hii inaanguka. Ndio tuko hapa tukisema okoa uchumi, si tuna try.
The distraught residents now say the government has not kept the promises it made during campaigns before elections, arguing that the public participation by the government on the finance bill was an exercise in futility, as most of their proposals were not included.
Sielewi uhuru wa nchi yetu ya Kenya inakuwa namna gani. Leo tuko na president ambaye ni Ruto. Aliahidi kutetea maskini. Ndio alikuwa anaita hustlers, mama mboga, boda boda. Kusema ukweli, boda boda ni ya maskini. Na pia naye boda boda mwerewe ni watoto wetu wale wameanguka mashule, nyinyi mko hapa pia.
As they continue expressing their pains, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has told Kenyans to brace themselves for hard economic times in order for Kenya Kwanza government to achieve its vision.
Do not be cheated that we can get out of those difficult times in 6 months. I did say that we must brace ourselves for some hard times. It could take us up to 2.5 years to see the downturn.
This comes amidst tough economic times in the country and residents saying they will protest peacefully in order to achieve their goal.
Kwa sababu nakumbuka hata time ya campaign, Kenya Kwanza walikuwa wanatuambia ni hustlers versus dynasty. Dynasty wanataka kujiongeza cheo, wanataka kuweka maofisi zenye haziko. Sisi hapa tutaangalia ule mama wa kawaida, serikali yetu itakuwa ya mama mboga na mtu wa bodaboda.
Vera Alberta, TV47, Nairobi.
Right, thank you for that, Vera. Now, are you looking for any employment opportunities at the moment? Listen to this story. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has Friday warned university graduates that the government doesn't have any employment opportunities for them. Speaking during a graduation ceremony at Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, the Deputy President, however, said that they will benefit from the Housing Fund, which will create jobs. This despite the Kenya Kwanza government during the 2022 campaign trail promising to set aside 100 billion shillings to do away with the escalating rate of unemployment in the country, especially among the youth.
The self-proclaimed honest man had some hard-hitting truths to tell fresh graduates at the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology on Friday.
Mnasema mambo ya job. Hapo iko kibarua. I've told you, we want to be, I'm an honest man. I'm an honest man. I don't want to sit here and lie to you that we have jobs for you.
Let me take you back to last year, 2022, during the Kenya Kwanza campaign trail. They made several promises, one of them being jobs for the youth.
Mwaka huu tuko na mpango makusudi. Tuko na deliberate plan ya kupanga ajira ya hawa vijana, na tumesema tunaweka pesa bilioni 100 pesa ya serikali kupanga ajira ya hawa vijana kama priority yetu number 1.
The government was or is supposed to have set aside funds for employment opportunities, but the script appears to have changed.
These jobs we are going to create together with you. This is a University of Science and Technology. Our members of the National Assembly very aggressively for 2 nights passed the finance bill to create a housing fund to construct 200,000 houses every year. Among those 200,000 houses, from this university, there will be architects, there will be quantity surveyors, there will be building engineers, there will be clerk of works, there will be electricians, there will be plumbers, and you will have an opportunity to earn a living.
So what happens to the rest of the graduates?
Wengine mutapanga huko mbele, wengine mutakuja tufanye biashara.
Some truths to ponder on. This even as the country grapples with the unemployment crisis, with statistics by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics showing that the number of jobless Kenyans increased to more than 2.97 million in the quarter to December 2022.
Thank you, Daniel, for that. Definitely some truths to ponder on. Think about that. No jobs in Kenya. The residents of Kajiado West are living in fear of experiencing famine again in the area due to the failure of rains that was projected to revive livestock keeping after the long droughts last year that killed hundreds of livestock. Now, they want the government to come up with sufficient measures to enable them beat hunger.
Kajiado County, where locals rely heavily on livestock as a source of livelihood. However, prolonged drought has always haunted the area, leaving a string of carcasses and desolate land. Residents here says the last season was not good to them. Described as worst drought in 40 years by the weathermen, locals here as well continue counting their losses. Many here say they were waiting on the rains after the long drought in the hopes of reviving livestock farming in the area, but they are disappointed lot.
Sai na tunaangalia ng'ombe, hiyo ndio shamba yetu. Na unaona mvua sasa inyeshi. So tunaomba serikali ituangalilie. Hapa ni Kenya, wasione hapa ni mbali.
Zile mifugo tuko nayo imemalizika yote. Hatujapata mvua kubwa. Tumepata tu ile kidogo.
According to the National Drought Management Authority, in the month of May, Kajiado County received up to 110% of rainfall. However, the spatial and temporal distribution of rainfall was low. In turn, the prices of cattle in the market have been low and residents blame on their condition.
Bei ya ng'ombe imeenda chini na bei ya unga nayo imeenda juu. Sasa shida sisi ni ile Mungu tu, hakuna shida ingi. Mungu tu ndio.
Further, the authority has predicted that Kajiado County is yet to face long dry spell in the coming months of July to September. But for the residents here, the rains are already failing. Water and food are slowly becoming a scarce commodity according to residents here. They say the harsh economic times is adding salt to the wound, making it harder for them to put food on the table.
Njaa tunaye kabisa na tuko porini kumbali. Kwa hivyo tuko hali mbaya, unaweza kaa hata siku mbili bila kupata chakula.
These residents are calling on the government to step in to provide donations lest they starve of hunger. Gideon Yuri, TV47, Nairobi.
Right, meanwhile, 8 suspects, including 2 foreigners, are in custody after being found in possession of a large consignment of illegal drugs. The package consisting of cocaine and ketamine, all with a street value of over 100 million shillings, was seized by anti-narcotics detectives based at DCI headquarters.
Officers from the DCI have been pursuing leads about a link to an international drug trafficking ring involving Kenyan and foreign nationals. And with swift action, a Thai national was arrested yesterday at JKIA's in Terminal 1C, moments before she boarded a flight to Singapore, carrying 3 kilograms of cocaine. In total, 7 other suspects, including 2 foreigners, are currently in custody after an operation resulted in their arrest and the seizure of a consignment of cocaine weighing 24 kilograms and ketamine weighing over 1,200 kilograms, worth over 121 million shillings. The recovery of the drugs at a house in Ngara was preceded by the interception of a motor vehicle registered number KDE 868N, a Nissan X-Trail, along Wangari Maathai Road on June 17th. A vehicle with 2 occupants was headed to the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, carrying approximately 23 cartons containing compressed packages of a white powdery substance suspected to be narcotic drugs. 55 packages in clear polythene bags containing similar powdery substances suspected to be narcotic drugs were also recovered, and a further 133 sacks, each weighing 25 kilograms, marked sodium bicarbonate. The anti-narcotics detectives based at the airport detected the packet that was carefully concealed in a false bottom of the woman's suitcase. The 8 suspects are Netima Ngamsap, a Thai national, Mohamed Saleh Mohamed Hussein, a Pakistan national, Khan Mohamed Ashraf Changu, an Indian national, and Kenyans Wesley Silvanas, Adwenya, Paul Kivuli Sote, Railings Innocent Ogondi, Moses Lia Imbwanga, and Latif Mohamed Dawood. All are in custody and will be arraigned in court on Monday, June 26, 2023 at the JKIA Chief Magistrate Court. Paul Kirobi, TV47, Nairobi.
And for many women around the world, the devastating loss of a partner is magnified by a long-term fight for their basic rights and dignity. Despite the fact that there are more than 258 million widows around the world, widows have historically been left unseen and unsupported in our societies. And as Kenya joins the world in commemorating the Day for Widows, widows in Kenya have urged the government to distribute funds that are meant for them. It's noon in this homestead in Marigat, Baringo County. Margaret Lekorioto, a mother of 8, is fixing a meal, even as a deafening silence fills the home. Her husband was shot dead 2005 in Mukutani ward of Baringo South before all the livestock were driven away, forcing her to seek refuge here. For her, life has not been the same since she became a widow.
Hakuna hata kitu ya kukula. Hata mahali tunaishi ni mbaya sana. Nyumba tunaishi karibu anguke. Na iko na faridi mpaka mtoto akashikwa na lemonia. Akalaswa ICU wiki mbili. Akafuta hiyo mashini ya kufumua. Sasa mtoto naona sasa amekonjeka sana na hakuna chochote.
Lekorioto is among the over 700 widows in the county who lost their spouses as a result of decades of banditry. And the process of rebuilding their shattered lives is long and difficult.
For me, my joy and hope is that every day is a better day for us. When I see women going back to their houses, I mean, to rebuild their homes, as much as we have challenges of course, it's not normal, it's not going to be, you know, a quick fix when you have been out of your home for like almost 5 years.
We are starting it for the first time this year to celebrate this day. Na tukasema we want to start with the widows of conflict. Widows of conflict from Baringo North, Baringo South, na Tiaty. The women we consider to be the widows of conflict ni wale they lost their husbands as a result of insecurity in Baringo.
And as Kenya joins the world in marking the International Day for Widows, a section of widows in Ruiru, Kiambu County, have called upon the government to pay out funds that are meant for them.
Sasa ningetaka serikali iangalie silaha ya wanawake wajane, kwa sababu vile tumewachwa bila vitu, tunahangaika, watoto wetu tunashindwa kuwalipia school fees, tunafukuzwa mpaka tunaanza kwenda kwa rental houses.
The International Widows Day is commemorated annually to take a look at some of the issues affecting widows around the world and what must be done to protect and progress their rights. Let's talk politics now. And President William Ruto declares he has no problem with Azimio street protests. Speaking to France 24 TV in France on the sidelines of the just concluded New Global Financial Pact Summit, the president revealed that his only concern is violence and destruction of property during the protests. Here at home, Kenya Kwanza leaders led by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua asked Odinga to be responsible and call off any planned demos and embrace dialogue. Apollo Kumao reports.
Ahead of Tuesday's Azimio rally at Kamukunji grounds next week, President William Ruto has broken his silence on the approaching protests. Speaking to France 24 TV on the sidelines of the New Global Financial Pact in Paris, France, the president, while acknowledging the rights afforded by a democracy like Kenya, expressed concern over the possibility of violence and destruction of property that come with the demonstrations.
The outcome of the election is settled. What we are having is politics, you know, and I have no problem with politics. I don't have a
problem with Raila Odinga now.
I don't have a problem with Raila Odinga. He's my opponent. There is no problem. We are competitors. I have no problem with him. I have no problem with Raila Odinga organizing protests. There are protests in this city of Paris every day. It doesn't, I mean, it's part of democracy. It's part of expression. All I have told our friends Raila Odinga and company is let us not engage in destruction of property. Let us not engage in violence. Protests is perfect.
Back at home, the president's allies who spoke during a fundraiser for women and border groups in Iten, Elgeyo Marakwet County slammed Azimio leader Raila Odinga and retired President Uhuru Kenyatta on the planned demos, with Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua accusing the media of being used by Azimio to cause divisions in the government.
You know, hii watu ya Azimio na hao magazeti wangetaka ati serikali yetu ikuwe na shida, ati mimi na rais tukosane. Sasa madugu wawili wanaweza kosana? Kama hamkuweza kutenganisha sisi wakati ile, saa hii tukiwa rais na naibu wa rais mnaweza tenganisha sisi.
I want to tell Raila Odinga to stand on his own feet as a leader himself and stop being misused by other people who have completed their term and tenure in leadership.
Kwa hivyo mimi nataka kusema tuachiwe nafasi tufanye kazi. Hii serikali yetu ndio inafikia miezi 9.
Ahead of the planned Kamukunji rally, Azimio lawyers led by Senior Counsel and Rarieda MP Otiende Amolo will move to court on Monday to challenge the legality of the finance bill after a setback in the National Assembly, where more than 30 Azimio MPs joined Kenya Kwanza majority side to vote for the bill.
It is not the end of the road yet. We still have two more options. The first option we have, and we are exploring it, is the option of testing the legality and the legitimacy of that finance bill in court.
Azimio says it will not be intimidated by Interior CS Kithure Kindiki should the Kamukunji Consultative People's Meeting resolve to call for mass action. Apart from the finance bill, Azimio's other grievances include Kenya Kwanza's so-called poaching raids in the Azimio ranks, an issue that has left the opposition divided. This alongside Azimio's claims of election rigging. Apul Kamau, TV47.
And relatives and friends of a former primary school teacher who was imprisoned 15 years ago for defiling a student now have a reason to celebrate after he was released from Shikusa prison. The prisoner, who was a primary school teacher before his imprisonment, has served his time and is now happy to be reunited with his family and friends. Joy Chemutai with the details.
It was a joyous day for Lunantas Luta, a now ex-prisoner in Shikusa prison in Kakamega County, who was a teacher in Kamukuya Primary School. The former primary school teacher, who was imprisoned 15 years ago for defiling a student, has completed his sentence, which he says has made him appreciate the small things in life, such as freedom. Luta tells us that his time in prison has changed his behavior, adding that he has received a lot of ethical and technical training.
Hapa jela nimejifundisha vitu fulani ambavyo naamini najua vitanisaidia katika maisha. Baadhi yake ni carpentry joinery, ufundi wa mbao, yani life skills, guiding and counseling, theology, na anger management.
Luta, who lost his teaching job, now says he will use these skills he gained while in prison to improve his life.
Saizi nikitoka, mimi ni mtu ambao nilibadilika na kurekebika.
Augustine Nabisi, the officer dealing with ethical issues in the prison, mentioned Luta as a dedicated person with good morals, while the representative of the Jesus Freedom Ministry of Kenya, who received Luta from jail, promised that the organization will help him financially to start a poultry breeding business and send him to driving school.
Tuko na spiritual counseling na social counseling. Huwa tunanyunia, alafu akakuja akapadilika, akakuwa mtu mzuri, amefanya industry.
Yao ya kutoka kama ya leo, tunapata ripoti rasmi kutoka kwa welfare kutuelezea mfungwa fulani wanaonelea amerekebika. Katika hiyo harakati, sisi tunampatia vitu zinaitwanga basic needs, yani mahitaji ya kuanzia maisha akirudi nyumbani. Vile unavyomuona hivi, tumemvalisha nguo nzuri ambayo hakuja nayo kuanzia juu mpaka chini, amebeba mkoba una nguo wa kuanzia maisha, malazi yanayo na vitu vingine vya kutumia. Amewaelezea kwamba angependa kuwa na ufugaji wa kuku. Tutampelekea vifaranga na chakula ya kuku.
Joy Chemutai, TV47.
And the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport will have a new transit terminal to facilitate more layover flight landings, even as the airport seeks to re-establish dominance in the regional aviation industry. Transport CS Kipchumba Murkomen says a new national aviation policy has been laid down, which will improve coordination with foreign airlines and improve the handling of perishable goods before importation.
Air transport adds $2 billion to the gross domestic product annually and $1.6 billion indirectly. This translates to about 5% of the GDP. Despite this immense contribution, the numbers of destinations catered to by national airports still lags behind in comparison to other African countries.
The principle that will underpin the development of a more efficient, competitive, environmentally sound, secure, safe, and economically and financially sustainable aviation sector.
The Eastern African market, which we traditionally manage out of Nairobi, showed many similarities in terms of competitive landscape, in the marketplace and the language with South African markets, Nigeria and Ghana. Therefore, it makes sense to find efficiencies in managing the different countries and by creating a single region, which we now call Engesa.
The Ministry of Transport now says that in the next 5 years, this will be remedied through the new aviation policy.
When customers come here, they will feel like it is a better transit airport. And as such, we are in the process already of inviting investors.
JKIA will be front and center in this refurbishing with the